Hey folks, welcome back and thank you again for tuning in and joining us here at reInvent 2024 on day 3. I think it's
Hey,
Wednesday.
it's always day one.
It is always day 1, but for this one, it's day 3, Wednesday, live in Vegas. My name is Adrian San Miguel. I'm a principal partner, enterprise architect here, and I dabble a lot with partners, especially those on the cutting edge of technology. Joined by my partner in crime, Fiona. Say hey.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Fiona McCann. I am a solutions architect in the public sector. I work specifically with nonprofit organizations, and I specialize in AI ML, specifically responsible AI. So I'm pretty excited to get to talk about SageMaker right now.
As am I. We're joined by two folks that are celebrating something a little special today. Would you mind introducing yourself, letting us know what we're talking about?
Sure. Go.
Okay, I'm Anchit Gupta. I'm one of the product managers with AWS. And this year, I've particularly been focusing on, as he mentioned, Amazon SageMaker and the SageMaker Unified Studio.
And I'm Dan Almgir. I'm a principal engineer on SageMaker Unified Studio. I'm very excited to launch it this week and happy to talk to you guys about it.
Fantastic. All right. So I think it would be helpful for our audience maybe to just give a little background, lay the groundwork. What is SageMaker Unified Studio?
Absolutely. Let me actually start even before that. So you all know about Amazon SageMaker right now. And what we're doing is we're significantly expanding its capabilities. So SageMaker, whatever you know right now, is now going to be called SageMaker AI. And we're going to add 3 big things to it, all launching this reInvent. The first is SageMaker Unified Studio, which is launching in preview, and it is the one studio for everything you need to do as a developer, whether it be data processing, SQL analytics, GenAI app development, machine learning, everything in one place with embedded governance. The second big thing that we're doing to add on to SageMaker is SageMaker Lakehouse. And that's one way, iceberg-compatible way to access all your data lakes and data warehouses in one place. So help you break data silos. And the third thing we're adding is SageMaker Catalog, which is the governance piece that allows you to govern all your data and AI in one unified manner across your unified studio. And together, these 4 things are what we're calling the Amazon SageMaker, this unified platform.
That's incredible. For anyone who was live with us yesterday and tuned in, you maybe saw our segment yesterday with the SageMaker Lakehouse team, and we were talking about that unification of data. It sounds like maybe data being unified with other machine learning processes is part of the Studio unified experience. Can you tell us how those two work together?
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you think about it right now, what happens is there are all these different tools, right? You have SQL analytics or Redshift tools in one place. You have EMR for data processing in a different place. You have your machine learning tools in a different place. And, technically, if you think about it, these need to work together. Somebody processes the data, cleans it up, and then it needs to go to the data science guy for feature engineering, and then it needs to go to the GenAI guy. But as an enterprise, you really basically need to stitch all of those together yourself right now. You need to figure out how the data science guy gets access to the data that the EMR guy prepared and everything. And you need to do all that undifferentiated stuff yourself. And what we're doing with the Unified Studio is we're doing it for you. You put all your people who need to work together in one place. You give them access to data once, and they just work together seamlessly. All their tools talk to each other. All their data talks to each other. They can just be so much faster at getting their work done.
Yeah, I can absolutely see some partners and customers immediately taking advantage of this because, as you mentioned it, one particular customer I worked with one of their projects, it was exactly that 2-day process to get folks access to the data. The data and analytics team needed access to the infrastructure to go launch new tools. The storage folks needed to understand how to partition and prepare this stuff. It just added multiple days in one specific use case to add a new feature. Took about 3 weeks for a customer to get going. This sounds like it's really going to empower folks and unblock them in a pretty meaningful way.
Exactly. And you can't wait for 3 weeks anymore. Like GenAI is just flying by.
Too quickly.
It's flying by.
I think it's kind of similar with AWS as a whole. Sometimes it feels impossible to understand and know how to use all of the 200 plus services. And now that's kind of becoming what the SageMaker suite is itself. There's so much that's going on that goes into creating an AI application. And so having all of that in one place sounds like it'll make it a lot easier.
Absolutely.
I think if you're traditionally using AWS services, you're getting exposed to a lot of services that are specialized for certain types of functionality. And within an organization, you've personas that have different roles to play, all centered around data. So you can be a data engineer, data analyst, You can be a data governance person who's managing access to that data.
Right.
All of them kind of have to now learn about all these different services that enable them to do their job. And SageMaker Unified Studio kind of converges all of those under one umbrella.
Yeah, you've mentioned data governance, which seems to be something that our chat is wondering about as well. We have a question here on Twitch. Polymathic Man says, all the data shared with each other feels like a security nightmare. How will data be protected between sharing teams?
That's a great question. That was actually the one I was thinking about.
Yep.
Went for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the data governance is sort of top of mind for a product like this, and we'll see a little bit of this when we actually do the demo.
Okay.
But the central to governance is the SageMaker catalog, which allows different projects, which is where builders work, to own data and to publish it to a central catalog so that other people and other teams, other projects can discover them, subscribe to them. And this sort of kicks off a publish subscribe workflow that makes sure that the owners of the data are governing it in the way that they want. So we'll see it in the demo, but we do have a nice workflow that lends itself well to good user experience.
And that is super slick and important because, as Chad is mentioning, partners, customers talking to me this week, everybody wants to share the data, but they're being very cognizant of sharing too much.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it's an internal team, a third-party contractor service provider, even a tech partner where they need to provide analytics and observability to the stack, but they're very cognizant, almost hypersensitive to giving away too much. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, often you're not sharing all your data. You're sharing like a projection of it or whatever is relevant, and we provide you just the tools that you need in order to do that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely. I mean, you said that we'll get to see a little sneak peek into this in the demo. Do you think you could go ahead and show us that?
Yeah,
ready.
I think we can dive into the demo.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
We do have to do the demo dance. Don't forget. We need to satiate the demo god since we are doing this live. I'm waiting for it.
Well, yeah.
Demo dance.
I mean, I've generally had good luck doing live demos, but I might have just jinxed myself. We'll find out.
No, we did the demo dance. We'll see what's
You're
up.
good.
Very fun. So actually, before we dive into the demo, why don't we just talk about some things that the users will be exposed to when they actually come to the tool?
Yeah.
So Ansha, do you want to talk a little bit about like domains and projects? And then
Yes,
we can-
absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the key pieces of governing this well is making sure that there are structural elements that let you define who gets access to what.
Okay.
So there are two key terminologies that Diane just mentioned that we should talk about. The first is the domain. Domain is, the way we think about it is you should put everybody who works together in an enterprise or a big team into one domain.
Okay.
These are people who might need to share data, not essentially do share data,
But potentially.
but
might.
potentially might. And so across the domain, you'll have one central catalog where everything will be shareable. And we go beyond data, by the way. You can share models. You can control that there is an owner of a model and somebody can request access. So that's domain. The second is project. Project is a small set of people and tools who are working together for one problem. So let's say the three of us working together to build one GenAI app. Most likely what will happen is that the three of us will be put together into one project, and the three of us will have access to some data just for that app and some tools just to build it. And so when we are inside that project, we have that access. But when we are outside it, or if somebody else is outside it, they don't have access.
Does a project typically live within a domain or
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So a domain can have multiple projects. People inside a domain can have been multiple projects, and they might have different access depending on which project they're working on.
So the way to think about domains and projects is the domain allows you to model your organization and how
Okay.
your teams are going to operate, and projects allow you to model your use cases within that organization.
Yep, got
So
it.
yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. This is a question that just came up in the chat, almost exactly down to the letter on how you go through and add in those safeguards. You're in the domain. Yes, you have permission into the catalog. Yes, you have access into the project. But for the duration of time solely that you exist within this project, within this specific domain, is your access, just seemingly partitioned off from others. And outside of that, there is no access.
Right. And another thing that we did on Unified Studio is identity is a big deal for us.
Yeah.
So in the days that you were used to using the console, you'd log into the console and have to operate there. But in Unified Studio, you have the option of logging in as your human identity, which is your active directory corporate identity,
Right.
and then all your permissions to your domain and your projects can be based on those.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think we can jump into projects and see how people can. So we talked about projects being. We talked about them being like a use case, like modeling a use case. But there are two other critical things about projects. So one is it's a collaboration boundary. So if you see on the left nav, I have a section here where I can add certain members that can collaborate on this project.
Okay.
And it's also a security boundary. So whoever the members are of the project have access to the project resources and the data that the project produces and things like that. So here you see a list of project files that are here. So by nature, every project is source controlled for us. So we have integration with Code Commit, GitHub Enterprise, GitLab. So you get source control for free.
Okay.
So one of the things that's sort of super critical to SageMaker Studio being unified is that it's sitting on top of your unified data platform, which is your SageMaker Lakehouse.
Lakehouse, yep.
So I'm going to jump into data module real quick, just to give you guys a flavor of what the Lakehouse is. So Lakehouse, Anshit was talking about it earlier. The Lakehouse is essentially unifying your data lake and data warehouses in one place, so that you have this zero copy nature to how you access your analytics data and data for your data warehousing for business intelligence and things like that.
Right.
And Unified Studio kind of makes that Lakehouse accessible very easily throughout all the tools that we'll see. So here, I'm in the data module of SageMaker Unified Studio. I can see the Data Explorer. I can sort of navigate the different databases that I have and different catalogs that I have, get a sense of the data that I have.
Right.
But it's
and these might be coming from a variety of different sources, and they're updated as like ad hoc.
Yeah, exactly. So let's actually look at one of the ways that you can populate your Lakehouse. So.
Okay.
Before we do that, I just want to cut you off because someone in the chat would like you to know that you are a gentleman and a scholar.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah. And you can tell them that they can find their check in the mail.
Job succeeded.
Yeah. So the Lakehouse is here, great, but I need a way to populate the Lakehouse. So as we go through different tools, we want to talk about the different personas that are going to be using the tool. So, if I'm like a data integration or data engineer persona, I'm often engaging in sort of ETL workflows. I'm connecting to data that I have in different places.
Right.
I'm maybe transforming them, cleaning them, and then cataloging them so that other people can use it.
Yep.
So for that, we actually have a visual ETL tool, which allows you to visually express the flow of your data that lets you connect to different data sources. And then you can transform your data as it reaches the Lakehouse. So you can basically model your data flow visually, and then every step of the way you can basically look at the preview of the data so that you know exactly what is changing. We actually convert this entire flow into code. So you have the code right there that is auto-generated for you. And there's a very easy way for ETL developers to connect to their data and then and land their data in the Lakehouse.
So is that an integration there with Q Developer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. So can we zoom in there so we can get a better view of that?
Yeah, please.
Sure. So this whole flow here, I can generate based on natural language. So Q is integrated everywhere. So if you want to talk more about,
Yeah, we have Q everywhere in Unified Studio, whether you're in JupyterLab, whether you're in any of the other tools, and even if you're in your catalog and you'll be like, Q, what data set do you think in these 10,000 data sets that my organization has would be super useful for me to create a chat app? And Q will just tell you which one it is.
Well, I have to let you guys know, it looks like chat is really liking this. I'm hearing some people saying amazing. That's from Robert Tables. JShell13 says, wow, this visual ETL flow looks amazing. Calypsonite says this is like Unify neat. And then we have another comment from IPX72 who says, during the presentation, I was iffy on using this, but after this, this after knowledge makes me more confident on using the AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the beautiful thing is, as you see right there, a lot of people ask us about this, you have Snowflake connected right there. So it's not just one-party sources, it's 3P sources as well. Go on, man.
Absolutely. And one of the things about ETL workflows is that often you just don't compose a data flow and then run it once. You have to often schedule it, and you want it to run it on a regular cadence so that your data is up to date. And for that, we actually have a workflow solution that is built on top of Managed Airflow. So basically, you can use the tool to create workflows and you can refer to the data flow that you built in the in Visual ETL, and then run these on a repeated cadence. There's way more to talk about on Airflow, but I'm just going to leave it at that. But I'd highly encourage people to check it out.
Yeah, please.
So we looked at the data integration persona, but then once the data is in the Lakehouse and catalog, you usually have data analysts and data scientists who want to look at that data and do some exploratory data analysis or maybe train models. And often the tool that they want to use the most is some sort of IDE, JupyterLab being one of the most popular ones. So JupyterLab comes natively integrated with Unified Studio. One of the things you'll notice is that the Lakehouse is right there, right next to the tool. So I can use the notebook here to essentially do exploratory data analysis, train models, deploy models to endpoints. One of the cool things about the notebook in Unified Studio is that we've basically we allow the notebook to talk to any data processing engine that you want. Wow. So Spark being a popular one, but you have different options for Spark. You've got EMR serverless, you've got EMR on EC2, you have Glue serverless. Mm-hmm. All of those Spark engines you can leverage from the notebook. But not only that, you can go out to SQL engines as well, like Redshift and Athena, all from the same notebook.
All from the comfort of the same notebook in the Unified Studio, where you partition off data access, permissions. This is pretty slick. Congratulations. This is fantastic.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, it seems like you've pulled together a lot of capabilities here. What do you see as some of the biggest ways that this is going to transform the experience for developers who are using SageMaker? How is this really going to change their work?
So I think it's going to make them super efficient in two ways. Mm-hmm. The first is obviously we spoke about Q. You have Q everywhere, and Q knows about what you're doing. So Q is not just answering generic questions about it's obviously answering generic questions, like helping you debug and say, how do I write this code? But it also knows about the data inside that project. So if you ask it, this is what I'm specifically trying to do, it can basically come up with the answer for you for that context. So it's going to make you so much more efficient. And the second thing is it's going to make you efficient by letting you work faster with the people you work with. So I cleaned up some data. Diane wants to build a GenAI app on top of it, use it to create a knowledge base. He doesn't have to wait for some administrator to come in and figure out how my data reaches him. It's all just directly there because we're in the same project. So that's I think, the biggest way it's going to help. But anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that the tools have come to you and you don't have to go to them, right?
Yeah.
So,
there's one more thing. I'm sorry, I can't leave without mentioning this. This is my favorite thing about this. I know. So one of the things that I feel like our builders always get bogged down by is accounts, regions, roles. Mm-hmm. You will see on our Unified Studio, and this is, Diane is the principal engineer on this. They do not have to deal with any of this. This is cross-region. This is a cross-region project. The data is somewhere else. The tool is somewhere else. But the end user, the data scientist, never has to deal with what account, what region is anything in. They just do their work.
Yep. As a sysad or operator, it was very frustrating to log in, go do the thing like, I'm in the wrong region.
Yeah.
And I hear this from many data scientists that never use console, never really use CDK, need to go interact. And the minutes, hours of time that they aggregate over months or years, this is huge. This is going to be really impactful for a lot of our customers. Chat's going off.
Chat is going off.
Yeah, we are really excited about this too. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us about it.
Absolutely. Do you want to expand the build menu? We went through a few tools, but we want you to see that what else is out there. Then talk about it.
I think very, very quickly, we have the GenAI tools here, the ML tools here. Mm-hmm. We have the data governance here. So I highly encourage everyone to go check it out.
And the awesome thing is that this is all being released this week. Documentation is out there. Go ahead and find it and stay tuned because we will be right back with our customer GoDaddy. So see you soon.
Thanks, y'all.